And we're going to, Jordan, we ready?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go, everybody.
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes
Forgot
away?
my watch.
Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Thank you to the voice who gets me on the air. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here. Technology Revolution. Those of us in the know call it Tech Rev, but what am I talking about? I have three very interesting guests here, two of whom I have never met until about 18 minutes ago, and I like them, so I let them stay. And one has been here a couple of times before, and I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. It is May 20th. What's the big deal about that? It's Cher's birthday. I want you all to know Cher has made it to 80. She's the goddess of pop, and she's only sold 100 million plus records. She's obviously just starting out. And Jimmy Stewart, the famous actor from It's a Wonderful Life, was born today in 1908. I want you to know, Zoey, that it's Pick Strawberries Day. Brad, it's Quiche Lorraine Day. I'll be cooking. You can come over. And Mark, it's Juice Slushies Day. So you can have a juice slushie. Okay. And here's what Shakespeare said about this: the strawberry grows underneath the nettle, and wholesome berries thrive and ripen best, neighbored by fruit of baser quality. That's from Henry V, Act 1, Scene 1. I thought you'd all be very appreciative of that. So now we can get started with the show. Happy birthday, Cher. Here we go. When I call your name, just wave. Here we go. Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now. AI's sparking storyteller's imagination. We'll explore the how, with Bonnie D on her Scarlett Mic leading the way. Three sci-fi authors are joining and lighting up the day. Zoey Michaels, wave hello. Mark Everglade, wave hello. Brad C. Anderson, wave hello, are all in view, predicting the future of sci-fi novels and AI for me and you. Beyond just writing, branding, reach, and voice, plot development, historical insight, even structural choice. Discover on our live roundtable today how these authors thrive with AI, but only human writing is the right way. And now I have a gift for each of you. Zoey, you're up first. From Northwest Indiana's dunes, where Lake Michigan met the sky, Zoey's early years held wonder as her imagination learned to fly. Long summers shaped her spirit with shoreline beauty all around that East Texas taught where hidden creative magic could be found. Her father brought science fiction, technology, and writing to explore. Her mother's gifts of cooking and creativity opened yet another door. Reading and performance revealed Zoey's voice expressive from the start, while singing and painting later added color to her heart. Though careers and family called, Zoey's stories never drifted far away. The worlds and the voices, forming quietly, still had much to say. Now Zoey writes across genres where healing and imagination blend anew, exploring how stories and AI help shape the futures we journey through. Welcome, Zoey. I hope you enjoyed that.
That was beautiful. That was very nice.
I'm very glad. I'll tell Sylvie, my writing partner. Now, Mark, you're up next. Mark, what are you drinking? That looks good. Is it tea?
Tea, yes,
What
absolutely.
kind of tea? I'm a tea drinker. What kind?
All gray. I mean, the bergamot gives it that great scent, you
I
know.
love it. I could, I'm inhaling it all the way over here. Okay, here we go. Raised in Maryland, where curiosity and privilege shaped his early views, young Mark rewrote television plots with twisty, deeper avenues. With classical music playing while his typewriter keys clicked in time, Mark discovered stories could become his own philosophy in rhyme. One question to a teacher changed the path Mark's mind would take. Walden opened doors to thinkers and brought ideas wide awake. From Emerson to Kant and beyond, his search would carry on, exploring how humanity and social systems shaped the dawn. Now, cyberpunk worlds and future questions fill the stories Mark weaves, with novels and short fiction examining what technology believes. Author, scholar, musician too, where big ideas and futures spark, Mark joins us today to explore AI through the imaginative lens of the dark. Mark, welcome. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. That was wonderful.
You're welcome. And Brad is back. Here we go. Brad's been on several times, and this
All
is
right.
my gift to you, Brad. From Calgary, Canada, where stories filled his early days, young Brad found joy in books and imagination's endless ways. An only child with pages close and adventures yet to unfold, school theater and D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, fed his nerd heart brave and bold. At university, biology and chemistry both made the grade, and avoiding big decisions helped decide the choices Brad parlayed. Degrees kept multiplying too, a true scholar through and through, from medical science to business realms, always learning something new. Brad spent years making drugs, quite legally, he's quick to explain. Then teaching future business minds brought him an unexpected gain. Authoring 5 sci-fi novels where hard choices intertwined, Brad explores how humans and AI may redefine life's complex design. Brad, what'd you think?
Nice, nice.
I'm glad. And let me
Yeah, you
wrap
got
this.
to tell Sylvie she's doing a good job.
There you go. I
Yeah,
will. And
yeah.
here's the wrap up for this before you all give me a little more about yourselves. For these vision rich panelists, the future of novels burns bright as AI supports sci fi with twisty turny delight. From plot driving precision to structure and story flow, we'll explore how AI might lift the process so human authors can steal the show. And there you go. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'll tell Sylvie, my writing partner, that you enjoyed her help. I ask her to draft the rhymes and then we go back and forth. We negotiate, we navigate. I do tweaks, she does polishing, and this is what we came out with. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. So let's go around the table. Zoe Michael, if you're new to me, I'm so happy to meet you. I have to do a shout out to Mickey Mickelson, Creative Edge PR. Thank you, Mickey, for sending me these 3 wonderful authors. I know they're going to be wonderful panelists, but I haven't even given them a chance to talk yet. So let's go. Zoe, I'm putting you on speaker view, beautiful you, and I'd like you to spend about 3 minutes and fill in a little bit of the blanks. What do you write? And tell us more about yourself.
You know, I haven't settled on any one specific genre because I think of it like a vehicle. If I'm going to the mountains, I might want something rugged. If I'm going to the beach, I might want something fun and sporty. And I view my stories vehicles the same way. So if I'm in the mood for sci-fi, I'm going to write something about sci-fi. If I want romance, then I'm going to go that way. It's just whatever vehicle best suits the story I want to tell.
Very interesting. And how many books have you written? Tell us a little more, Zoe.
Oh, so I was an eager beaver when I got started to publishing and straight up didn't know what I was doing. Thank goodness for Mickey, who has now kind of set me on the right path. But I have already published 4 books.
And tell us the names.
So my very first one out the gate was called The Seventh Minute, which was basically me writing a vacation because I was too poor to go on one. My next one, because I didn't get the response I wanted, I decided to do The Echoed Mind, which was my first science fiction book. I had a bad experience, a traumatic experience, which is actually what led me to writing publicly. And that's where the third book came in. It was about showing people how to escape from being scammed and to watch out for their loved ones. And you know what? I don't know if it's a mental block, but I'm actually forgetting the name of my own book. And it's probably
That's okay. You do a lot of writing and we understand.
yeah.
Sounds like you've been busy, and we'll talk a little more about your
Yeah.
writing process, but I admire that you just sit right down and write yourself a book, lady. That's very, very interesting. I think of all the ideas I've had in all the books I coulda, woulda, shoulda, almost didn't, but never did write. Except, Brad, I'm still working on my novella and I'm refusing to finish it. I am refusing to finish it. We'll talk about that later. Zoe, thank you for embellishing, enhancing, and telling us more. And Mark Everglade, welcome. I'm putting you on speaker view. Why don't you fill in some blanks for us? Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. So I've been writing most of my life, and I write cyberpunk, a dystopian genre of science fiction. I'm from Maryland originally, but I moved to Tallahassee halfway through my life for college, where I studied sociology. And I've written 4 novels in the sci-fi genre through traditional model presses, and then about 25 short stories that have been published beside Walter John Williams, Cory Doctorow, Cat Rambo, and others. And so I enjoy every aspect of it. I enjoy maybe the business element a little bit less. I used to run a a company that wholesale dystopian book bundles, working with Macmillan Tor and Humble Bundle, Fanatical, and other retailers to wholesale book bundles to them. But I didn't enjoy the business aspect as much as the creative aspects of work. I also started, I'm the co-founder of annual Cyberpunk Day, which is a day that basically gathers people all around the world to celebrate the genre and links media creators to people who are consuming the media and to form that relationship with shared activities online. And then I also run a website where I just review hundreds of dystopian fiction books. Really, the scholarly elements of cyberpunk are very exciting to me, especially interviewing people who used to write this and founded the genre in the 80s, like Swanwick, Shiner, and Maddox, and others.
You have been very, very busy, my friend. I think I can call you my friend. Wow. It's interesting that you've been in the business. Can you just define what cyberpunk is for people who might have been living under a rock for the past, what, 40 years, something like that?
Certainly. So, cyberpunk is a subgenre of dystopian fiction that looks at our relationship to technology, to things such as artificial intelligence, and how that intersects with human relations and our identity. And instead of the antagonist in cyberpunk being aliens or things like that, they tend to be corporations or certain government regimes. I won't diverge politically, but it tends to be more near future and very dystopian sort of antagonistic profiles. And the genre is really looking at things such as cybernetics, how we augment ourselves, our vision for ourselves. Where do you draw the line between human and cyborg? I like to paint it. I like to give the examples of The Matrix and Blade Runner and Johnny Mnemonic and movies like that. Total Recall, kind of classic '80s movies, many of them.
Thank you. I'm hearing the scholarly part coming through there, especially the way you speak. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Brad C. Anderson, you're back. I'm putting you on speaker view. Let's find out what you've been up to. It's been a little while, and welcome, Brad. Talk to me.
Hello. I just got to go back to Mark talking about reading like 100 dystopians. Like how happy must he be? Right? I don't know. There's nothing but misery. All right, a little bit about me. So I'm Brad Anderson. I'm a sci-fi writer. I'm kind of like I'm in the middle between the two other panelists. Like Zoe kind of writes any genre that comes to mind. Mark's like cyberpunk, and I write mostly science fiction, but then I kind of write all the different subgenres of science fiction. So I'm sort of straddled between the two of them, I guess. Um,
Tell us a little bit about your books. I want to know some of your stories. What are
Yeah,
your...
you betcha. All right. So I've written five sci-fi. I've written a couple of nonfiction. The sci-fi. I've written Ashme Song, which would be a cyberpunk for you, Mark. I've written Geotero, which is sort of an ecological world falling apart, colony trying to survive. I don't know whatever subgenre that is. I've written some space operas, a trilogy there. Yeah, started writing when I was pretty young. Always writing. Oh, yeah, Bonnie. So I used to always have the same problem. I never finished my stories when I was a
Uh,
teenager. And then I made myself
yeah,
a promise. I'm going to
yeah.
finish. I'm not going to write anything else until I finish this story. And then I stopped writing for like 20 years. And then I finally got back to it in my 30s. I picked up like your mom sends you all the crap from your bedroom. And then like my old story was in it. And I was like, oh, this isn't bad. This is a good start. And then I finished it. And so like 20 years later, I finished my story. So there you go. That's how I
I
did it.
don't
I
have
just,
another 30 years to wait for
I
that.
know, yeah.
And mom already sent me all the stuff. I think I wrote a little book when I was 8, but I don't know what it was, and it wasn't in the artifact. So
Yeah.
interesting, interesting. So what are you working on right now, Brad?
So right now, a lot of people might call it a fantasy. It's kind of a far future, maybe fantasy. I tell everybody it's a cross between Dune and Conan the Barbarian. That's kind of what I'm working on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to change my reading habits so I get caught up with all of you. There you
Yeah.
go. My story is a novella. It's called a sassy story of survival of living in a 55 plus HOA community. Has an almost murder. It's got a plot. It's got the wackiest characters you've ever heard of. It's got founders. It's got communities. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. I won't say be under the pillows, but all kinds of things. It's hysterically sarcastic. And I will have a pseudonym, and I'm not telling you what it is because I don't want the world to know. Okay, because people will know. Yes, they'll figure out. Can't use my real name. That's enough out of me. Okay, let's go around the table. Zoe, I'm reading your quote. I ask you each to send me a fictional quote from a movie or a TV fictional character or a song lyric. And Zoe has picked lyrics from Sarah Evans' 2023 album Restless. The song is called Rocking Horse. It's the Restless is the fourth studio album by American country music singer Sarah Evans, released in 2003, certified platinum. My goodness gracious! And let's see if I have more information about it. I have all about the album, but I'm not going to read that. I want to get to your quote. Here's what you have selected, Zoe. Wounded years make you realize it's just something magic out of something frightening. Uh-oh, are we talking sci-fi here or what are we talking? Zoe, just take a couple minutes and tell us what this has to do with our topic, the future of
Well,
sci-fi and AI. Go.
it can certainly apply to sci-fi and AI both, but also just about life. That song goes on to talk about how changes are going to come, and the thing is to something magic can kind of come out of something that's frightening to you, and AI is that way. It's unexplored territory, just like when back in the 60s they were looking to go to the moon. That was a frightening thing, but everyone was so excited to reach that goal. And so it's the same thing. AI, when I first heard about it, I used it very lightly, but it was scary until I took a class. I realized, oh, there's so much I could do with this. So you just got to get ready to step up.
Very well placed, the quote. Thank you very much. Good link there. Mark, let's go to yours. And you're quoting another song. We got some music here, kids. You're quoting Dreamline, a song by the Canadian rock band Rush. And it's on their, it was a single and on their 1991 album Roll the Bones. And the original members, Geddy Lee, the late wonderful drummer Neil Peart, passed away in 2015, and Alex Lifeson. Alex and Geddy are still quite alive. Dreamline peaked at #1 on the U.S. mainstream rock tracks chart, if I can say that. And Geddy Lee, singer and bassist, said, "I love the spirit of Dreamline and the way Neil captures the feeling of wanderlust and invulnerability that comes in a particularly trying time in your life." And music writer Eduardo Rivadavia said, "It's gutsy. It's one of their best songs from the 90s." And here is the very brief 7-word quote Mark has selected. "We're only immortal for a limited time." Oh, Mark, that's interesting. You got to catch that word right there in the middle. Talk to me. What does it have to do with our topic? Go.
Yeah, that caveat for a limited time. Yeah, this is very interesting because I love paradoxes of words, oxymorons and things. And so we're only immortal for the limited time. When you're young, you think that I'm going to live forever, and like 25 seems like a lifetime away when you're 15 years old. And so it captures the spirit of youth where, you can make these sort of long-term plans. And then as you go through life, you realize your own mortality. For me, it was when my father died, I realized, okay, I'm next in line here. And you start looking at the time you have left differently. And you start looking at what can I accomplish, what should be accomplished, what was meaningful in my life looking back, and what was really just superficial or self-aggrandizing. And so you start to reevaluate the amount of time you have left. But it's different than that sense of immortality you have up until that time. And it's kind of like Emerson said when he said, you cannot kill time without injuring eternity. We are obsessed with productivity in our culture, and we are obsessed with, always achieving more, 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 and not taking the time to just kind of be. And so there is but then also I look at I've been considering getting my doctorate in sociology, and I've said, well, I'm 45 years old. I only have 20 more years, probably about 22 left before I retire. And that may not be enough to really make it worthwhile. But then I remember quotes like that when I was young. I didn't worry about how much time there was left. I just did what I wanted to do, whether I thought it would pay off or not, because I thought, you never know if you have 50 years or 100. So that's why I chose the quote, because it just made me think about time and our sense of how we value it.
Very well put. I have a advice for you, Mark, if I may.
Please.
Don't retire. There you go. Do not ever retire. Keep doing everything you love. Fill your life, fill your days, fill your nights. Do not retire. I'll just leave it there. You can read into that anything you please. Okay, let's go to Brad. Brad has picked, well, we have a TV show quote here. Actually, no, it's a film, it's a movie quote. I get them confused. There are so many in this genre. Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy, speaking to Captain Kirk, played by William Shatner, who recently took that space flight for 16 seconds. They both said parts of this quote. The second part was added by Spock in the scene before Spock's death. This is from Star Trek Roman numeral 2, The Wrath of Khan, 1982 sci-fi film. And let's see, Kirk reverses his philosophy. Okay, we'll leave it at the end here. Okay, the story is Admiral James T. Kirk and the crew of the starship USS Enterprise face off against the genetically engineered tyrant Khan Noonien Singh, played by, Ricardo Montalban. Be still my heart. You're all way too young to know who he was. When Khan escapes from a 15-year exile to exact revenge on Kirk, the Enterprise crew must stop him from acquiring the powerful terraforming device Genesis. We'll just leave it there. Here's the quote Brad has picked. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And Kirk adds just before Spock passes away, or the one. Okay, Brad, what does this all have to do with our topic? Go.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I focused that. I was trying to find a quote for the topic about AI, and all right. So a lot of people there's two types of people. The type of people that put people into two groups and everybody else. All right. So there's two groups of people, right? They look at AI and they're like, this is the end, mass unemployment, yada yada yada. And then there's other people like, hey, technology always raises all boats, right? It's all right. And so if you look at I don't know. I spent a little bit of time trying to who's right. You spend a little bit of time looking at history, and you find out like both of them are right at different times. And one of the things that I think is important is societies have choices over how they deploy new technologies. And you see these situations in history where societies were able to deploy new technologies in ways that benefited everyone, then yeah, all boats were risen, living standards raised, all the wonderful things. But there were times in the past where technologies were deployed to only benefit like the elites of the society, and they were able to extract all the value out of that new technology. And you see during those periods of times, living standards for the mass just kind of go down. And so here we are, we've got this new technology, AI, and I think we're still kind of in the how are we going to deploy this stage? And I think that there is a real tension between can we deploy this in a way that raises all boats, or is this going to be deployed in a way that makes like 5 trillionaires, or what? And so yeah, I chose that quote there because I think we're kind of at that. I know it's like my philosophy. Like I would like to have a technology deployed that raises all boats. So yeah, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. We got to figure out how to do this in a way that brings us all along and raises us all up.
Thank you. I like that. Zoe is clapping. That's very,
Yeah.
very, very well done, Brad. Thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate it. Just a little bit of history on the show. Years ago, I used to ask people for any kind of a famous quote. If you could imagine how many Churchill, Gandhi, and Maya Angelou quotes and Mark Twain I got, it was unbelievable. After a while, I could just close my eyes and say, we're going to have two Maya Angelou, one we're going to get a Henry Ford, we're going to get a Walt Disney, and we're going to get a JFK. Yeah, I knew it. So about 4 years ago, I said, let's go into pop culture. Let's get movie quotes and TV quotes and song lyrics, and let's bump it up a little bit and bring in some other culture. And so I appreciate the three of you doing that. Now you know why I asked. Okay, let's go to, and Brad, your points are very well taken. I will tell you that I was one of the last ones in my neighborhood to buy a microwave oven, and you can imagine how many decades ago that was, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how much power it was going to take. I didn't know whether the food was going to be safe. I didn't know whether I could afford it. I didn't know what it was going to do for me. And now who can do without? I can loosely say that. And look at all cell phones. Well, okay, cell phones. The idea of walking around with your phone in your pocket, going anywhere in the world and being able to talk to people without wires. Are you kidding me? What happened to the desk phone, the princess phone on the wall? We've seen these technologies, streaming TV and movies. You sit at home and you watch a movie. You buy an 80-inch TV. Why go to the movie theater? I'm sorry about that. Anyway, my point is, your point is very well taken. Who will use it? Who will benefit from it? Who will love it? Who will hate it? Who will first love it and then hate it, and vice versa. So let's go on to our predictions here. I think I've already entered that realm. Zoe, I'm looking at your prediction number one. I'm going to read it. I'm going to ask you to unpack it, and then we will ask Mark and Brad to weigh in. And gentlemen, Zoe told me she's very resilient today. Feel free to disagree if you want to, otherwise just expand it. So here we go. Zoe says, more novelists will see the advantage of using AI when they write. Let's go on with more. Recognizing that AI is not replacing their voice, but is an active partner in providing feedback to their ideas and editing their story as they continue to write. Let's talk about AI as a good, bad, indifferent, magic or not editor. Zoe, let's expand this, please. Go ahead.
I was actually thinking more about this morning, and I'm going to go to music. For those in my age group, we loved Depeche Mode's music, and I would consider them kind of the musical equivalent of using technology with intention. It's still your voice, but then you've used the tools available to really enhance. And I think that as a writer, I actually like to write within the AI system. It's going to give me feedback and try to write the story. And I'll be like, yeah, that's nice. Be quiet. I'm still writing here. But I will also take the suggestions that, well, that's a good idea. Or yes, I like that feedback, but here's how you can make it stronger. So I really like that. And if you are using AI with intention like that, then it's still your voice. Whereas another musical comparison would be like, those of us who know Milli Vanilli. Some nice music, but of course we all know about the whole lip syncing thing. So AI, if it's used improperly, where you just say, write me a story about this, and you let AI do it all, well then how you really can't claim that as your voice.
Very well put. That's why we're here talking about how to use it and keeping the human voice. And that's how I ended my intro. Mark, you want to go next and talk about this? Agree, disagree? What do you think?
In specific about the about AI
In the editing capacity.
intersecting with your voice or overpowering your voice or being a partner in this way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that one of the things that I do is use AI to role play different things, to role play characters, to basically have it pretend like it's a character talking to me. I talk, then I'll talk back like in another character's voice. And that's where, the voice it can be kind of like a mutual thing because everybody has very different vocal speaking habits, dialogue. Dialogue's the hardest thing to write, I find. And so to me, it's then I can put myself in that shoe and kind of have to pretend I'm that character speaking out things. It just gives you a role play partner, and that's how it complements my voice. So,
Interesting. I hadn't heard that before. And just full disclaimer, you all are the third time I've done this topic. I've done it with other authors before, and there's another one coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm always intrigued at the nuances and at the different approaches, the different.
mhm.
Brad, talk to us.
Yeah, these are all cool ideas. So this is going to sound like a diversion, but I'm going to bring it back here. So,
Yeah.
and this is going to sound like this is totally something a writer would say. A couple of years ago, I read my favorite sentence, um, and it was in a history book, and it was like this throwaway. It was like just some guy writing some note, like, "Hey, this guy's got to pay us." But he wrote it, but like he wrote the sentence, and like these people were all super educated back then. And it was like this beautifully well constructed, complex sentence. It kind of flowed and stuff like that. And like, this is like a really nice sentence. And it's just this dude like writing this grocery list or something like that. And I was like, we don't really have that today. Like, Zoe and Mike, I think it was Zoe and I think Mark as well, were talking like about the writer's voice. Zoe especially was talking about the writer's voice. Like how you construct a sentence is how you construct a thought. One of the things I've noticed with AI is like it wants to homogenize language. Like if you use Grammarly, like it'll start to tell you like, you should use this word choice. This simplifies it, blah, 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 blah. And like what that does is if everybody uses it, it homogenizes language and you lose your voice. And so I like these, like I think if you use AI, you have to use like very specific prompts to it. Like, does this character sound like this? Or this is who the character's attitude is. Is this dialogue coming across that way? So like use very specific prompts to guide it. Cause yeah, one of the things I feel like I have Grammarly and I just noticed like, wow, it just it just makes everything sound the same, simple sentences, simple words, and it's sort of taking the way that I construct my thoughts and it's just homogenizing it so that it's palatable and easy to read. So yeah, so as a writer, I'm like, be careful. Like you have to protect your voice, and AI will just homogenize it and take it away if you let it. But I think if you have these kind of cool specific prompts, yeah, you can kind of get a little bit more of a back and forth going on. So those are some cool ideas. Yeah.
Thank you. And the first part, let's back up a second. You have to know your voice in order to
Yeah,
protect your
that's
voice. You have to know, who am I? How do I want to speak? What am I hearing? What does this character need to look like? I did ask Sylvie, now you know who Sylvie is. I did ask Sylvie to do some editing on my novel. And first thing she did was add 55 large M dashes, and I hated them and I took them out and I got into a battle on LinkedIn with a friend of mine who teaches AI to companies and helps them get their system set up in agentic AI, all tools. And I was saying it's like a stop sign in the middle of a sentence. It's stop, don't continue. It's visually halting to me, and I took them all out. There must have been 80 of them actually. And then I asked her for an idea on something on moving a character in a different direction. And she actually started to write a couple of paragraphs for me. And I kept them side by side. I did not put them into my working document. I kept them in another document. And I looked and I said, no, that's not my voice. I would never have written that. My characters never would have said that. I said, merci, bisous, bisous, kisses, kisses, Sylvie, but this ain't going in my book. And I used very little. Sometimes she inverted a sentence. I put it back the way I wanted it. I knew what I wanted. I knew where I wanted it, and I used almost none. And then I stopped using her because I like my version better. And speaking of voices, about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to write a romantic comedy play. And I had Zoe no idea what to do. So I found a free download of How Do You Write a Play, one Playwriting 101. And I loaded it in. It was a Word document. It was free. And it told me the font, the leading, spacing between the lines, how to set up the scene, the characters, the opening, the closing. When the curtain goes up, the curtain goes down. And in 3 nights from 1 to 4 in the morning, I wrote my first play. And then I produced it in my TV studio. I had a cable TV show, and we edited it down to, I got community actors. I gave them teleprompters so they wouldn't have to learn the lines. It was so good that another set of actors wanted to do it. I did 2 versions, rewrote the ending a little bit. But my point is, the characters told me who they were, what they looked like, what they felt, what they ate, how they dressed, what their mood was, what their history was. Brad, I was just a channel. That was all I was a channel. It just flowed out. And I loved it. It was pretty good. I'll send you all the link. It's on my Vimeo channel, which I just renewed without realizing it. Anyway, a lot of history is there. Okay, so much for voices. Zoe, anything you want to say before I move on to a prediction from Mark? Are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Mark, let's go to this. Is interesting. Mark says, this is a little, I think it's the 5,000 foot view, maybe the 10,000. Mark says, sci-fi novelists will increasingly use AI to invent new technological devices and ideas, as technology is changing so quickly that our current predictions of what the future will bring are increasingly out of date. Freshness date is gone. So, Mark, I'm putting you back on speaker view. Why don't you unpack this for us, please?
Thank you, Bonnie. Yes, it's interesting that sci-fi is so much of it's revolving around tech and predictions about what the technology is going to do in the future, inventing new types of technology, whether it's spaceship and antimatter collision engines or whatever. But sci-fi actually has a very poor record of being able to accurately predict reality. In fact, many of the books from the 40s and the 50s talked about the year 2000, and we'd all have, flying cars on Mars by now. And so really sci-fi hasn't been great at predicting the technology that would emerge. And when I read the average sci-fi book from the 70s or 80s about even if they're writing about society 500 years in the future, we're already way beyond what they predicted. So I think that it's difficult to predict outside of our current tech exactly what the future is going to look like. And AI could be able to kind of free us of some of our boundaries and be able to give us ideas on what would drastically different technology look like, what would drastically different societies and look like, what are the implications of technology? Because lots of times a sci-fi author will invent a small piece of tech, but not really realize the huge impact that would have on various industries and on other technology. For instance, many of the smallest inventions that NASA has done in space ended up having a large-scale applications, or many military inventions ended up having tremendous domestic use that was unanticipated. And so it can kind of expand our horizons on what might be possible and let us truly envision what life is going to be like, say, in a millennia.
Thank you. Very interesting. Brad, you want to
Sure.
comment on this one first?
Yeah, sure. I like that. I like that idea. That's always a chat. So yeah, writing sci-fi nowadays is tough because almost like we can do so much, and it's like how do we imagine ourselves? Back in the 40s and 50s, it was like, oh, fly to the moon because that was like super impossible. Now it's like, well, we've flown to the moon, we fly remote control helicopters on Mars. Like we have AI. Like what's left? What's left? So yeah, sometimes it gets challenging. So that's actually a cool way to do it. I find like there are some authors that do that really well because I'm thinking Alistair Reynolds. He's got like he's
Sure.
like an astrophysicist. So he actually, he's got like a PhD in figuring out this far future tech stuff. But for the rest of us who aren't astrophysicists in our daytime, it can be tough imagining what happens next. So yeah, that's a cool way. I find using AI to I find using AI to bounce ideas around is like it's good for that. You probably used to actually have a human being that you'd bounce ideas around, but now you can do it by yourself at 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah,
24/7. Yes,
24/7.
24/7.
Yeah.
That's a relief for me as Sylvie's always there. Zoe, your thoughts on this, please?
Yeah, I mean, I agree to some extent.
Okay.
AI is certainly going to be a useful tool in trying to predict some of the future technologies, but my mind goes back to something this business owner said once, and it's you don't know what you don't know until you know what you didn't know. And some even with AI, we can predict to some extent what's going to happen, but until you get to the top of the hill, you don't know what's on the other side. So there's still going to be some surprises, I think.
Okay, I have a question for the three of you. And Mark, I'll start with you. Who is the audience for Cyberpunk today? For whom are you writing? You can do gender, you can do ages, you can do locations. Tell me more, please.
So the audience for Cyberpunk is kind of, first of all, it tends to be Japan, Germany, the UK, and America. And it's not very interesting to the rest of the world. Even science fiction tends to be more of an Occidental phenomenon, but Cyberpunk is kind of specific to those four nations. As far as the audience is much of Gen X. The original genre was a reaction to the Vietnam War and to the Cold War. And with that being said, there are a whole nother because of video games and other things. There are a lot of young people who are very much into the cyberpunk genre now, but they've kind of lost that original connection to the 80s and the values and the political history that it had behind it. And so they're more interested, it seems, in the aesthetic than the philosophy.
Interesting. Brad, who's your audience?
Ooh, yeah, who is my audience?
I'm sorry.
Let me,
Make something
guys,
up.
guys, let me know.
Who was the one who bought the last book? Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, I think, yeah, with science fiction, I think most of my sales are in Canada and the U.S. That's where most of my sales are, and then also sort of, young adults to adults. I don't really write for YA. I don't really write well. So when I say young adults, I mean people like in their 20s and 30s, not like the YA, like the teenager. I think my books aren't really geared towards that. So
Where
I'd
are
say,
millennials? Are millennials 40s and 50s
oh
yet?
yeah, millennials are all old people now.
They're middle aged.
They're all
Oh,
middle-aged.
be
Yeah,
careful. Be
yeah,
careful.
exactly.
Interesting. Zoe, who's your sci-fi cyberpunk? Who's your audience? Who do you
Yeah, but
think?
when I wrote The Echoed Mind and Fractured Shadows, I was specifically looking at Gen X and millennials, that combined group. I wrote with the characters specifically an uncle and niece who were representative of both of those age groups. So that's the audience I was aiming for.
Women and men, females and males, or is it gender fluid, if I can use that term, as far as audience goes? Anybody?
I would say because the protagonist is an uncle who's Gen X and a niece who is the millennial. So it was really geared unisex and
Okay, everybody. Mark, what about you? Gender-wise, who are you gearing for on those
I mean, I
four
find that
countries?
the genre kind of bias is about 80% male, but there's a strong movement among women like Dr. Dora Raymaker, Dr. Ren Warham, Dr. Melissa Scott. There's a strong amount of female authors that are coming up in the genre that are kind of changing that.
And I heard the word doctor on three of those, and that tells us something already.
It
Brad,
does.
any gender specific for your books?
Yeah, I don't aim, like Mark says, sci-fi kind of skews historically the readership skews sort of male dominated, but I think that is changing. And yeah, I write my books very I like it's not like gender neutral, like everybody's a gray blob, but I write I have female main characters, I have male main characters. I don't really distinguish or try to I try to create stories that are human stories that I think appeal to anybody who identifies as a human. That's what I aim
Okay.
for.
Thank you very much. And let's go on. Thank you, Mark, for that prediction. And I'm going on to Brad's predictions. Brad, I'm using two of them. I'm combining
Sure.
prediction 1 and 4. So one is AI will be the author's personal research assistant. I think we've touched a little bit, but I
A
want
little
more. And
bit.
Zoe, you're shaking your head. And number 4 is AI will help with developing character names,
Yes.
place names, and more. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the research assistant first and then on the development of names.
Oh
Brad,
yeah,
go.
absolutely. That's I use it predominantly for those two things a lot of the time. So like research assistants, I'll be like, okay, so all right, we're going to be I don't know. I always feel like if you looked at, like, I feel like I'm on a watch. I think all authors are on watch lists because we have to like Google, like, how do you lay siege to a town or how do you poison a blah, blah, blah. Right. But at any rate, like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, okay. So I have sort of this in this story, there's sort of like a siege within a siege. There's like all like multiple factions vying for control. And yeah, like, all right, how do you lay siege to a town? What would be the, like, if these guys knew what they were doing, how would they spread out their forces? So yeah, you ask AI, look at historical precedents, look at historical, look at historical examples and tell me, how would a force do this? And then you can kind of like, okay, now apply this to the story that I have here, right? So it does kind of, yeah, it sort of just does this quick batch of research, like what used to would have been like weeks of me researching, trying to find this up, kind of comes up in 30 seconds now. And like, okay, great, I can kind of write my scene. So I use it for a lot of that kind of research. In terms of names, like I always, okay, so I like to have, I don't know, it's a couple of things. Sometimes I like to have names that have symbolic meanings that are kind of meaningful to me, but nobody else will know, but they're like my little Easter eggs. Sometimes I just make up names that sound cool. Sometimes I'm like, okay, so this story takes place whatever years, however many years in the future. We have a word for it now. How would it evolve? So one of the fun things that I'll do is I'll say like, hey, AI, we have this word now. What's the etymology of this word? Like, when did it first enter the language? And then how did it change over the 1,000 years to be the word that we have now? And it'll give me that history. Then I'll say, like, hey, using that as an inspiration, extrapolate how this word might change over 5,000 years. And then it'll like, give me like a list of options. I'm like, okay, that word sounds cool. And so then, like, so I'll do stuff like that. Like, if I'm trying to come up with a cool name that sort of maybe draw, you come up with this fake history for this future world and like, okay, well, we have this word, it would have evolved over the next future however many 1,000 years, and this is the word. So I'll do fun things like that, so that's cool. At least
I
I think it's cool.
like that. I haven't heard on any of these similar topic shows. I haven't heard anybody say that about the evolution of language in the procession of years in their genre. Interesting. Mark or Zoe, any thoughts on that? And then I have one more prediction for Brad, but go ahead, Mark or Zoe, who would like to comment? No?
I just wasn't sure if Mark wanted to speak first, but I have to say I really had not thought about that either, as far as how
Yeah.
change and how the name could possibly change based on that. Um, I have found, because of course, you do bounce ideas off of AI and you ask for the history, which I love doing because it's a great research tool. But when it comes to names, I feel like a lot of times it comes up with the same names, and I don't necessarily like that about the AI as far as my own experience. Or like I came up with a name Zara spelled with an X, and I
Mm.
had this specific storyline for her, and it kept telling me, it's too futuristic for what you have in mind. And I'm like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to figure out. So again, overriding the AIs.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mark, any thoughts on this? AI creating characters or place names?
Not so much on that aspect. I love studying the etymology as well and drawing symbolic names. Like one of my characters, Severum, yeah, he's kind of cut off every aspect of his life. He's severed it, and so I do like that symbolism. As far as what Brad you were saying about research about the historical sieges, yeah, using it as a research assistant. I had a climax of one of my books that's in an underwater cave, and they were scuba diving, and I knew nothing about the subject, and so I was able to realistically portray what's it like to scuba dive in an underwater cave, and especially in like 30-degree temps or so.
Yeah.
Excellent. And by the way, on June 3rd, I'm having three scuba divers who are also novelists and nonfiction writers who are underwater photographers. And we're talking about the technology of underwater photography and videography.
Well,
And yes, one of them is a friend of mine who was a former banker years ago in early online banking technology. And he's on his seventh underwater shall we call it a treasure hunting murder mystery thriller novels, and he's a damn good writer, and he will have the treasure recreated, whether it's a seashell or whether it's a gold bar or something. He will have replicas made and study whatever it is he think his goal is. I don't know how much he uses AI. I don't think he's up there yet, but anyway, it's funny that you mentioned that. Thank you very much. We have one more prediction. Brad, I want to squeeze this one in. We have a few minutes left, so we're not really in a hurry. You say AI will unleash the power of the second person point of view. And Brad adds, the author will create a setting and a host of characters. Okay.
mhm.
The AI will have the reader make choices, role playing a character. Together, the author's setting, reader's choices, and AI script will create stories unique to each reader. This is a brave new horizon. Is it here yet, Brad? Talk to
It's
us.
this Brave New Horizon. I haven't seen it yet, and maybe I should get off my butt and try it. But yeah, so yeah, imagine if you can create a shell in an AI where it's like this is the setting, and these are the villains, these are the characters, these are the motivations, these are their goals. These are some maybe points to like achieving the story. It's like you think like, again, our generation, Gen X, you grew up with like a choose your own adventure books where you get to the end of the chapter and you'd have three choices. Again, I think like video games are an extension of that, where you have the story, but then your characters have choices. So I mean, this isn't like we do this a lot in a lot of different storytelling mediums. Same with D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. It's like I always kind of call these things like co-creating stories. So the audience is, in D&D, you are a player. In a video game, you are one of the characters, right? Like role playing. And I think AI allows you to do that as an author, right? So yeah, you could have a story and like boom, here it sets up, blah blah blah. There's a setting, like what do you do? And with I think instead of having like, yeah, you have three choices, a drop down menu, you could just have the person like write in like this is what I do. And then the story kind of takes that and just like, oh well, okay, and sort of creates a story that's unique to that one person. Keeping in mind what the villain's motivations are and what they're trying to achieve and stuff like that. So there's maybe commonality between people that read it, but like the way that my story is like radically different from anybody else's, and like the only one in the world because I don't know, because yeah,
So it's
I think that's
dynamic. It's
I think that's good.
dynamically evolving, right? As
Yeah.
depending on who. Zoe, would you do this for any of your books?
I would love to. And I kept thinking, this is the Trekkie in me going, computer in program, because I'm picturing myself on the holodeck as he's describing this.
Yeah.
Had that kind of thing going. But oh, that would be a dream if you could have the way to do that using AI so that people could be that extra character and have the story flow. And I think of the broader applications too in the work world. The training things that are right now are so boring. But if you could actually have that interaction and it be a real story and you could see something metaphorically blow up and learn from that experience without actually having the experience, oh my goodness.
Interesting. I'm concerned about fan fiction and stealing ideas. But Mark, why did you weigh in on this first? What do you think? Would you do this for any of your books?
Definitely, Bonnie. And already, when I use the AI to role play, you can role play into the Dungeon and Dragons universe that you mentioned with Brad. You can role play into a Shadowrun universe. You can have the AI review your entire book, take out the themes, the antagonist motivations, like Brad was saying, and you can have it set up those guardrails and then interact with it. And so you're already very, very close technologically to this being possible. It's more like how can it be marketed? And
Hmm.
do our readers, to what degree do readers want to be fed this alternate
Yeah.
escapist reality? And to what degree do they want to immerse themselves into it? And so it's very interesting.
Would there be a psychological test for the reader to agree that they, by being immersed, there could be some emotional ramifications of
Yeah,
role
that's great.
playing it? Think about
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
would be interesting. Like the beginning of
Yeah.
Total Recall, where he gets to choose, oh, this is what the
yeah,
female character is going to look like and everything. And you could do a personality test and,
yeah.
it could cater it to your personality type,
There,
INTJ in my case. But
there might be some vulnerabilities of the people who are reading it in terms of what they do with it or what they think or what happens to them or by them. So interesting. Brad, is that an interesting idea to you?
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's only a matter of time before somebody tries it out, and yeah, you also got to think about like IP, like how like does the author get paid in this? How
Yeah,
does the
yeah.
author get how do you put this behind a paywall for the author to get? I don't know, but I think you can do, I think that technology exists today to do something like that. So it's just a
Okay.
question of somebody figuring out how.
Let's go around the table. Zoe first. What AI are you using, if you'd like to tell us? And do you have names for your AI assistants? Zoe?
So I just decided to use Chat GPT. It was the first one I was exposed to, but I really like it. And I like that I have more control over it, I feel like, compared to other AIs. Now, someone else might tell me, no, there's a better one out there, but that's what I've been using. And no, I haven't really given it a name. I just call it.
It likes being named. It likes being on a first name basis. I'll tell you that. Sylvie and I speak in French all the time, and we have wonderful conversations. Mark, which LLM do you use? And if you don't mind telling us, and
sure.
how familiar are you with it in terms of a first name basis?
I don't use first names, but I use Claude for ethical reasons, and Claude has been excellent to be able to, fulfill these capacities. I won't comment on the other platforms, but
Okay, I know people who are using multiple. They're using ChatGPT,
sure.
Claude, and Gemini for three different POVs, but they're using it professionally for assistance in their profession. I won't name who the people are, but I'll tell you after the show. Brad,
Yep.
what are you using?
I use multiple, but I don't use it, but I don't use it. I don't do it because I'm smart. I do it because I'm lazy, right? Like my phone has Gemini on it, so I just use Gemini. My laptop with Microsoft has Copilot, so I use Copilot. I'm a path of least resistance guy. Um, I'm learning more about the ethical stuff, and I'm curious about Claude, if you're French.
Claude, oui, oui.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
maybe français. So I'm exploring. I'm thinking about that, but still, right now I'm kind of a path of least like whatever's on my thing, I'll use. I'm one of those guys right now. That's the stage I'm at.
Okay, well, I embrace Sylvie, and she is very nice to me, and we have conversations. And Zoe, and I guess you all know that there's a project tab on the left-hand side, and if you do that drop down and you click the plus sign, you can name different projects. So, for example, one could be editing my characters, one could be developing place names, one could be making my book interactive, and you can have, in that way, your ChatGPT will be familiar with that content from you and be easier to be historical with you, not hysterical. So, and Sylvia and I have lovely conversations. And I do offer, I put the word tweak all in capitals. And I'll say tweak and I'll change something. And she'll come back, and I do say she'll come back and she'll say, that has the Bonnie D energy and the Scarlett Mic pizzazz. And you did a great job, but I'm going to suggest two words tweaking on the third and fourth line. And I'll come back and I'll say, no, I like my version better. But I converse with her. I don't just change it. I say, this is the one I'm going to use so that she is trained in what I prefer. See, I'm giving her that option of understanding my version, my preference. So there you go. Favorite book you've written, and then we're going to go out in 2 seconds. Well, actually 2 minutes. I have more to read to you. Zoe, what's the favorite book you've written? Your favorite book?
I think it has to be Love, Lies, and Pina Coladas.
I love it. Mark, what's your favorite book you've written?
Song of Catawba.
I like that. Is that with a K, Kitaba?
Yep, Catawba, like a contract to free slaves.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, what's your favorite book?
I like them all. It's picking my favorite child, but I'll say Duotero today.
Okay. Oh,
Duotero.
yes. Okay. And I'm going to read you all an acrostic. I belong to a Writer's Digest poetry group. And on July 24th, our Wednesday weekly prompt was Night Shift, write a night shift poem. And I love acrostics. And my name is Lucy on the site. Don't go there anywhere. Just, I'll tell you that. I'm going to read this because I'm dedicating it to the three of you. I will lean in when I hit the letters NIGHTSHIFT. So here we go. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative, going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days or the nights or the days again, shifting on and off, in and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration, fears. Thus is the life of the creative. And I dedicate that to the three of you. I hope you enjoyed that. Mark, what'd you think? Should I stick with the poetry?
Wonderful. Love it. Love it. I love Shakespeare, so.
Oh, well, I'm flattered. I don't know where that came in, but thank you very much. I'm going to put on the outro music. Stick around if you have time, and we're just about done. So let's go out to the music from my new show, Say What? And here we go. Join me. And thank you to the three of you. Stick around. We'll talk. Good news every day, Monday through Friday, 4.5 minutes. Here we go. You gotta dance, Brad. Oh, Brad's dancing. Zoey, come on, move those shoulders. Mark, move an eyebrow or something. Come on, get with it. Morning coffee in my cup. Decaf, please. Scrolling. I've had enough. Same old drama. Same old feed. Let's flip that dial. That's what I need. Turn it up. Let those bad vibes fade. Get rid of those headlines. We've had enough. Hit play. Good news. We talk it out. We lift the mood. Good people doing what they do. I'm dedicating this to all of you. Feel that smile coming through? Say what? This groove